Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be doing why the Skull Trooper is the you should hate the Skull Trooper. I know that everyone likes it because let's think. Okay, so if you were to ask someone what their favorite skin is, most people would say Skull Trooper. And the others who don't, they're just probably noobs, okay? Basically, the skin is so loved because of its OG, how OG it is, and it's so rare, I guess you could say. And only the original players really actually know, really have it, or have even seen it often. I will say that this skin is very loved, but today we're going to be looking at why you should not like it if you don't have it. Before we get started, I'd just like to say that please make sure to subscribe because it's free, and I'll be trying to stream. Hopefully I can. I don't know if I will fully. I mean, I think I can, and it'll be, if I am, it's probably be 5 to 6 or sometime around there. I don't know if it's gonna be exact, but whatever. And let's get started. So, just want to clarify that you still can like the skin, it's just that you can't like want it. That's kind of what I mean by like why you should hate the skin, because if you want it, then you're gonna, well, I'll explain later, okay? Alright, so first we have to look up to the Red Knight. The Red Knight is a skin that was released in Season 2, and although it isn't as old as the Skull Trooper, which was released in October, around Halloween, I think, or sometime like that, where you actually had to pay one of the very first skins, very little players. Season 2, there was a lot more players, and it was actually a decent looking skin that costed more, sure, but it looked better, so a lot more people bought it. So the reason why we're looking at the Red Knight is mainly because they were both rare skins, except the Red Knight had something happen that Skull Trooper, I want to talk about the Skull Trooper. So first, the Red Knight. We all know that it was released in the shop in Season 2. But Season 4 rolls around and it is released, and everyone goes insane. Well, many people who didn't have it, who wanted it, because many people wanted it, were getting it, and I would say most of the time, half the lobby was just Red Knights at the time, but 2 days later, literally after its release, it was a dead skin that no one used. Sure, people used its backbling, but reality was you never saw any of them, and what this shows is that because of the fact that this was a rare skin, because it wasn't rare anymore, people didn't like it because they released a skin that was rare, but then it turned unrare because everyone thought, oh, I'm gonna have a rare skin. So that really affected, and even the players who had the original, like the first time it came out, they bought it, Season 2. Those people were really upset because they had a skin that was cool, and now it's just a skin that it's cool to wear, but there's better skins to wear, and it's not even cool because it used to be cool because, you know, it was rare and it looked decent, but now there's just better skins. Why would you wear a normal legendary skin? That's basically what that is, and it's just so weird, okay? So where does this fit with the Skull Trooper? Well, it's pretty obvious. No, it's actually not, but this fits with the Skull Trooper because if they were ever to release the Skull Trooper, but hint hint, they're not, but if they were, for whatever reason, which if they did, I would say they would release it like Halloween or something, but there's like a 99% chance I'm right that they're not going to release it, but if it does happen, you can do whatever you want in the comments. But basically, if they ever did release this, it would be like the Red Knight, where everyone would buy it and people would be disappointed. It's just that this time, they won't release it. I just want to say that. They will not release it. Now, we'll go in more depth about disappointment in part 2, because this is part 1. But basically, how this is working is that Epic Games, when they released the Red Knight, they figured out that there was a big mistake, and I think that's why they're never gonna release the Skull Trooper. Now, you could say all you want that that's not true, but there's proof in the fact of what they've been doing with the Red Knight. Now, basically, the Red Knight, they keep adding it back, honestly. That's the main thing. They don't really care anymore because they know it's not old skin anymore, so they just think, okay, let's just keep adding back. Now, I think that the Skull Trooper will never come back out because the fact that they've learned that not many people liked that they'll add the Red Knight. The other thing they learned is that, well, obviously, there's another factor, I should say. They didn't learn this, but the Skull Trooper's way more older, so if they add it back, they're gonna be making many people, including Myth, very angry. And trust me, it's not as anger as like rage as people who own the original Red Knight. No, I'm talking about people who played during the OG days of Fortnite. The days where there was literally just bots everywhere. I know, bots, whatever. I'm talking my good old pal Defaulty. Basically, this is when people really were playing, and it's like you don't want to anger those people. So I think that's another reason. They could add back the crack shot. No one would really care as much as it would be as the Ghoul Trooper or something. Anyway, another key thing I wanted to talk about. Well, it's pretty obvious, but in case it's not, the Skull Trooper is simply more loved because of its rarity, and I already talked about this a little bit, but basically, if it's like the Red Knight and they release it, it's just a little mini hint of what part 2 might be about. Just basically saying, okay, so you're going to basically, the Skull Trooper is going to be like the Red Knight in the fact that it will turn from a skin that's like really rare and cool, like before, if it does come out in the shop. It would be like rare and cool, right? Like if your friend had it, you'd be like, oh my god, you have a sick skin. But if it ever made it into the shop, it'd be like, oh cool, you have a skull guy. Whoa. Yeah, okay, whatever. Like, even if you were the OG guy who had it, no one would notice. And that is what happened to the Red Knight, and this is what will happen to the Skull Trooper. And it's a big deal because it's gonna make the Skull Trooper look bad, and honestly, no one wants that. Now, there's one more thing I have to talk about, but we'll go more in depth this in part 2, but there's only really one way to get the Skull Trooper. Now, I know that most people don't want to hear this, but I'm not going to go too in depth with this because it's part 2 related, and I have extra time, so I might as well go a little bit ahead to part 2, where basically, first off, I have to say that it's a very important part, that the only way to actually be happy is to get it. And because they're not going to release it, you're basically being disappointed. And so, well, they're probably not. So, basically, the only way to get it, and this is just a hint of what might be in part 2, is the only way to really get this skin is actually kind of crazy. You actually have to buy someone else's account who has this skin. And I know it sounds so ridiculous, and I'll go more in depth part 2 like I keep saying, but just want to say that people do it, and people have gotten skins, like the Skull Trooper, from other people who sell their accounts for thousands of dollars. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy. We'll make a part 2 probably Monday, or hopefully sometime like around there. And yeah, make sure to check out my stream today at 5 to 6 or sometime around there. And yeah, please make sure to leave a like because it's nice, and goodbye.